Hi everybody, so let's install Jenkins. So what do we need so that we can easily install Jenkins? So first, what you need is, because we said already we understand Jenkins is a CI/CD automation from our previous video, automation tool. But now what happens is this one works differently, not like the GitLab CI/CD, because this one is not platform hosted. So what we need is, first we need a server to install our Jenkins server, and so this one is either you'll need maybe a virtual machine, or maybe you'll need a Droplet if you're using DigitalOcean, or an instance in AWS or stuff like that, whereby here you'll have your operating system. Let's say you're running Linux or Windows, whichever distro, and then in here, this is where we'll now come and install our Jenkins. So we just come here and install Jenkins. So after this installation, then we'll expose these Jenkins to a port on our server, let's say port 8080. And then now on the larger web, you can now get access to the Jenkins dashboard, or rather call it the Jenkins UI dashboard or stuff like that, whereby now here you'll be able to do management of your Jenkins server. So in here you can create the pipelines, you can see the console for the pipelines if they are running, you can also set up your triggers while setting up your pipelines. You can also install plugins from this UI, and so many other functionalities in terms of just settings and configuration of this. So this is the interesting bit, but before we get here, we need at least to have Jenkins running. So let's now do this. So I'll be using Linux. That's specifically to make things easy. I'll just use the Ubuntu distro that is there. This is a Debian based one, so it will be easier for us to just do the installation. And then I'll be using DigitalOcean Droplet. So Droplet is just like a VM, or an instance. And then out of this one now, of course, I'll be using a Chrome browser. And then we will now do the following steps. So first, we will install Jenkins. So also here, you can decide if you're using this virtual machine of yours, you can decide to use Docker. But I'll not do this from this tutorial. Let me know if you want me to do another series for Docker specific, so that now we can do containerized Jenkins installation on our VM or in whichever environment. So if you're that person who uses, or rather enthusiast in Dockerization of your application, then let me know so that we can do one for this Docker. But for now, we'll just do the bare metal installation on our VMs. So we'll install Jenkins and then see how we can expose this Jenkins port to public using probably a username and a password. And then number 3, we'll finally see how we can set up plugins and just some little items on Jenkins. Yeah, so that's the roadmap of our tutorial today. So let's get started. So first, what I'll do is I can just easily say install Jenkins. I'll just Google this, and then so installing Jenkins, I just go to the official page of Jenkins, and you can see we have various options. You can install Jenkins via Docker. You can also install Jenkins via direct to Linux or Windows or Mac OS or Kubernetes. So just check depending on whichever distro that you're having. But for me, I'll just use the installation on Linux, and then this one will now give me some guidance in whichever distro that I'm having, either Debian based, Fedora, or Red Hat Linux. But for me, I'll just use Ubuntu. So prerequisite, you need at least this of RAM. You need at least 4 GB of RAM plus 50 GB of dry space, because it will use around 30 GBs. So at least, because you need also our application to run, at least you need a 50 GB and above disk space. Software requirement, at least you'll need Java, and also you'll need a web browser, probably like what we're having right now. For Windows, you need probably blah, blah, blah. You can see all that item, and we have some nice tutorials around the same. Yeah, so this is what we'll be doing. So we'll be installing, we'll be updating our dependencies, and then we install our JDK. Then from there now we can easily install Jenkins. So let's create a virtual machine first. So I'll just log into my DigitalOcean here and create a temporary machine for our test today. So I'll just quickly go here and just log in pretty quickly, and then so I'll just come here and say I want a droplet. So I'll go to droplets, and then in here I'll just say I want to create a new droplet in here. So creating this new droplet, I'll maybe set some items around the same. So I'll just say, because I'm close to India, so I'll just pick this one on Bangalore, and then I'll just say here is the different distros that you want to create. So for me, I'll just take Ubuntu with the latest support, 64-bit with latest support. So I'll just pick that 24, the latest version. Then I'll just pick a basic one. I can just say this one, or I can pick a regular one. Just one a small. This one has 25 GB of space. So I can just, because I'll destroy this, I can just pick this one for 12 a month. Then I can now use this to show you how we create the Jenkins. So after that, I'll not need to add any storage and stuff like that. I can just say that's it, and then SSH key or password, blah blah blah. So I'll not be setting up this, but I can just say let me just use a password, but root password and stuff like that, or SSH key. So what I'll just do, I'll just say let me use a password, right? So I'll just say let me use a password, and then I'll put a password here. Then that's it. Then I'll just say, I don't know if this one qualifies. Let me just try another one and see. I don't know why this password also is. Let's try to do a key. All right. So I have some keys here done already, so I can use this SSH key, but I'll not be SSHing into this because I can just easily use the domain. Then I need one droplet, and then that's it. So I'll create the droplet. Give it some few seconds to run that, and then in there you can see the droplet is creating, and then you'll be able to see this droplet up and running. So I can click on it, just wait for it to be ready, and then I'll tap on console at least after the droplet is fully created. So you can see our droplet is ready, so I can just click on console. So right now, if we open this IP address, which is the public IP address for my droplet, nothing is happening. Even if I open, because I want to launch these on port 8080, so nothing happens. So that is what now we expect to work after we are done with our installation. So I'll click here on console to just open the console on my machine. I'll make it a bit bigger, and then we can now start our installation process for Jenkins. So here I'll go back to where we had our command. So I'll just first start from updating. Let me just see what is happening. Let's just give it some few minutes to be ready. Yeah, it should be up and running in a second. Connecting to Droplet. Connected. Here we go. So if I check this, you'll see I'm logged into my new Ubuntu server that I just created. So what I'll just do is I'll just come here and say sudo update to first update my dependencies on my server. After that, I'll do the next step of now picking these JDK. I'll install JDK 21 because it's running on Java. So just grab that and run that. Then here I'll just accept and say yes, or you can give it the command of yes wherever you're doing that installation to automatically accept whatever option that will be coming, or whatever pop-up that will be coming to ask you if you want to accept it. And then once I'm done with that, just give it some seconds. So once I'm done with that, I'll be able now to probably check the Java version that we are having right now, if Java was well installed. So you can see I have JDK 21 already installed, 2025 1021. So that's well installed. So after that, I'll now come here and now install Jenkins. So in here, if you choose latest support, so it's choosing every 12 weeks from the stream of regular releases, blah blah blah. You get some stories in here. So we'll need to just add Jenkins repo. So I'll run this couple of commands in here to just ensure that we have our Jenkins repo well set. So I'll just grab that and install it. Then next I'll pick this update again to just update my repos again, and then finally I'll install Jenkins. So I'll just run these. Let me first clear this screen so that you can see. So I'll just run this command sudo apt as my package manager and then install Jenkins. So once I run that, it will ask me in a prompt. I'll say yes, and then that's it. So this one will install Jenkins, but two things will happen here. So after this installation is done, two things will happen. So one is I'm required to pick the Jenkins password from there. So let me just see. So after here, this Fedora and stuff like that, so we go up to where now we want to start Jenkins. So it will still use systemctl to enable and run Jenkins. So I'll just say sudo systemctl enable Jenkins. So what this one will do is it will now ensure that Jenkins run every time we are starting or booting up our server. So even if our server starts up or reloads, we'll be able to have Jenkins up and running. And then so that's just to enable Jenkins, and then we can start Jenkins. Same commands, easy command for systemctl for start, restart, status, and stuff like that. So you can just use these to start Jenkins, and also we can use the same to check the status of Jenkins. So in here, Jenkins is running and is actively running here. So you can see everything is loaded well, no errors on our logs. So we presume our Jenkins is up and running. So the next step will be now to try and see Jenkins, or rather what we're having. So I think this is the port. So if you have file, you must add Jenkins as an exception, stuff like that. But because I've just installed a new Linux and I've not hardened it to add file and stuff like that, so I assume my Jenkins will be able to now be found on this port 8080. So let's try to reload these and see. Perfect. So by default, Jenkins runs on port 8080. And now here I have something that I'm told to get started to ensure that Jenkins is securely set up, blah, blah, blah. They have put my password in here. So I can just grab these and maybe copy this password to enable me as an administrator to continue setting up my Jenkins. So I'll grab that pretty quickly, and then I'll just come in here and say on my app, I'll just say here from this directory, then I can just say var Jenkins. So what I'll just say is vim that. So if I view this, I'll be able, or even you can use the cat command or maybe nano to preview this. So having that, I can now grab that pretty quickly, and then I'll just come and paste it here. So that will be my password. Once I paste it there, then I'll never save this. It will automatically now initialize, or rather open up a Jenkins setup page or customization page, which automatically gives me a direct way to set up my Jenkins. So I'll just say install with the normal plugins that I need, and you'll see Jenkins started. It will now start to set up everything, setting up pipelines, setting up workspace, setting up GitLab branches, blah, 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 build timeout and stuff like that. So it will just spin up my Jenkins server. That's a good thing. You can install these within a second, and the next minute you're able now to use Jenkins. Yeah, so let's give it some couple of seconds as we await it to be up and running. Then we continue from there. Yeah, so after this, I'll get this, the final getting started page that will now ask me to put my username. So I can say my username is admin, or whichever, maybe I can see Terminator, stuff like that. I can say I'm the Terminator for these, and then I'll put some simple password, say something like that. Then I'll confirm my password, something like that. Then I'll say that's my name, and then I'll just put some email address here to just be able to do that. Yeah, so this is it. I'll just save and continue. And so I'll be here. So here, instance configuration. Now this will be our default Jenkins URL, and also this is where now we'll be able to set up the webhook. So in case you change these or you decide to add some modification onto this will be the build URL. So all your PR status and stuff like that from whichever source code management tool that you're having will be sent to this. But I love to leave it as is, just that way, with the default 8080. And then I'll just finish this up, because if I want, I'll not supply these IP address, but rather I'll host it somewhere and maybe buy a domain for it. Then I'll be able to redirect it either through Nginx or Apache into my port 8080. So Jenkins is ready. So your Jenkins setup is ready, and then boom, we can start using Jenkins. So there we go. We have our Jenkins already set up, and then we will get this message that welcome to Jenkins. And then now we are able even to create our first job and stuff like that. So let's try this. So just tap here and create a job, and then just create some sample test, for full stack forge, to just make it unique. And then I'll say it's a pipeline and stuff like that. But before this, I'll just tap on this and then open in a new tab so that I don't confuse you. So on this initial page, there is manage Jenkins depending on the version that you're using. So this one be at the time of this recording, you'll find that if I go to setup, it's here, others are on the other side. This is the latest version of Jenkins as of now. So I'll just tap on this, and you'll find some different configurations here. You'll find system settings, where you can go here and set items like your tokens, your keys, your security setups and stuff like that. You'll see you can set the number of executors, check out blah blah blah. Even you can update now that Jenkins URL that you just set. You have a lot of items in here that you can literally play with. Secondly, you can go to tools, where you have configuration tools. You can go to nodes, clouds, appearance, stuff like that. But for me, I just want to show you something here. Okay, so also there's this security and credential management in here, credential providers and stuff like that. We'll be doing this deeper in our course. But what I want you to majorly focus on is in these plugins. So in here, we'll be doing our next tutorial now on how to link it with GitLab. So you just come here onto plugins and then check available plugins. For example, if I search on a GitLab plugin, then I tap on this GitLab. This is where I can be able to now install my GitLab plugin and then use this now to link my Jenkins into my GitLab. So I'll not be doing that. I'll just want to do some sample pipeline in here. So let's continue with our page. Let's do some sample pipeline. I'll just say this is a test pipeline or test CI CI/CD. Then I'll just say you want to check whatever GitLab. So once we install the other plugins like for GitLab, that's when we'll be able to see options here, options to build and stuff like that. So build, you can just say build periodically. Then this one you can just say schedule, something like that. You can schedule your task to just build and stuff like that one. You can just play around with these stuff and see. But then I just wanna just build it manually. So in here, you can say if you want to set your Jenkins file on your, you'll see it in the next tutorial on our project, or rather on our SEMs. We can set up that and then it will just pick up directly from our repo. But for now, I'll just do a test and say echo happy guys, we deployed this. So we are the happy guys. We have successfully deployed Jenkins, and then that's how you'll save. So I've created my first pipeline, and this is how I wanna this is how it will appear. So if I come here, you'll see my pipeline is here. So you'll see my list of pipelines being listed in here. Then if I tap on the pipeline, I can say build now. And then you have different items here like changes, configuration, deleting pipelines, stages, rename and stuff like that. So once I build, you can be able to click on that and see whatever started by Samsung, blah, blah, blah. And then I can even check my console and probably see what has been done. So started by Samsung, and then we have our output here and our pipeline build successful. So that's it, how you install Jenkins. Now let's jump on to the next tutorial. Peace.